Welcome, fans of films. Welcome to fans of very heartfelt, heartwarming stories. I can tell Michael is already sick of me and we're just getting started. But to everybody at home, hold on to your seats. Hold on to whatever you got, really. Hide your kids, hide your wife. We are live with the story of Michael Bouey joining me, as always, the one and only Michael Bouey. How are you, Michael?
Hanging in there, feeling a lot better. I know that we've been down for a little bit. I was a little sick, but now I'm better, and so we're ready to jump back into the swing of things and get it in here. So, because I'm excited to kind of finish up my story and move to the next person, where it'd probably be our first episode where we're actually co-hosting both of us at the same time and not being interviewed and focus on that next person's story. So I'm ready. Let's jump into my story and finish it up.
Perfect. I like it. I like the enthusiasm. You heard it here first, folks, man. Me and Michael are going to be sort of the new tag team champions of the world. So get ready for that. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe, like the video, comment, subscribe, so you stay in the loop of things. But without further ado, let's get right back into the story of Michael Bowie. Now, when we last met, we were sort of talking a little bit about Michael's trip out to California. Now, he briefly mentioned that it was a trip from Michigan to California. Those of you joining us from the United States, those of you joining us worldwide, get a map. But briefly describe that trip, man. That's a long trip. Just put it in your own words. How was that trip like?
I mean, it was 36 hours straight nonstop. I didn't stop at a hotel, no nap breaks or anything. I mean, I stopped for food and gas and drove 36 hours straight. I mean, even driving after 10 hours by yourself listening to music, you can only go so far. I mean, 20 hours in, you're loopy and just nothing to do. And you still, I mean, even that last 16 hours is like, bro, it still feels like another, 10, 20 hours. Uh,
Mm.
it will sound, it will make it feel like it's double, should I say. Um, even got to the point where I made it to Utah and I'm driving up in the mountains of Utah and there's only like one lane going both ways and there's no guardrail and maybe like a foot and a half, 2 feet next to you. I mean, you can look over and see a complete drop. If you would have like gone off, you're a goner. No one's gonna find you. And that was after like 24 hours, 26 hours of driving by myself. But it was a long trip. It was well worth it. But this is the farthest that I had been from home, from family, from anybody that I know or knew. I was very fortunate to have come across a friend whose sister lived out there, and so I was driving out there to stay with her and her son. But they had a two-bedroom apartment, one bedroom for her, the master, and another bedroom. So at first I would sleep on the floor in her son's room, and it was too much. He had to wake up for school, and it's just schedule and snoring and alarms and everything. I'm just like, bro. So I ended up sleeping on the floor and on the couch inside the living room for a while, with inside that 10 year of time. But that was just my drive out there. When I finally got out there, I mean, like I said, it was a point of like breaking down to be that far. Like, man, if shit goes wrong, who do I call? Who do I go to? I mean, this is me, and I know we did your story, and I just can't imagine you being in Mexico at around the age that I was inside of California by yourself. I don't know if you have family out there, but to kind of imagine what I was going through, but that's kind of that feeling.
Mm. Okay, yeah, definitely. I can definitely relate to that. So you mentioned you sort of were welcomed, right, by somebody, a family friend and her son. But I mean, outside of that, did you know anybody else in Cali?
I knew one person. I play a lot of video games, and there was a guy that I had played online gaming with for a while. I have never met him in my entire life, and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm coming out to California. Maybe if you're not too far, we can meet up for the first time, like face to face. After knowing you for 6 years playing video games, I've never seen your face or anything. I don't know anything about you. Maybe we can meet. And he's like, oh yeah, bet. What city you gonna be in? I'm like, Moreno Valley. He's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, why? He's like, I live in Moreno Valley. I was like,
Oh,
no
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So, him and I, ironically, were living in the exact same city. So that was the thing that made me comfortable. And I didn't, meet up with him right away. When I got there, I was trying to focus on getting my career started and everything, and it wasn't until maybe like a couple weeks later where I hit him up like, "Hey, I'm here now," kind of ordeal to find out that he also was in Moreno Valley. So, but when I did get to that point, it was just very comforting because I had talked to him for 6 years playing video games, and I knew him like I knew his voice, I knew stuff about him and everything, I knew his personality and everything. And we're still friends to this day, and game ever so often or talk ever so often. So
Okay, that's awesome. And did he in any way sort of help your career get started out there? I mean, it's always nice meeting up with somebody that you've sort of I don't want to say been looking forward to meeting, but again, very very nice. But you were in Cali for a reason, right? And it's tough. It's tough on its own. It's tough being on your own. So, how exactly did you get started? Who connected you to the scene out in Cali,
well,
the entertainment scene?
it definitely was not him. He was working, I think, as a manager at Costco during that time. And, it was rough. I was out there trying to find my own way. And so every week I was driving out to Hollywood, trying to just learn where do I go? What kind of, is there an agent's building? Do I go, do I put in my application? Or where do I go? How I need to get headshots. And like, I'm real frazzled and in terms of like what should I do, and I'm spending a lot of money. I didn't go out there with a lot of money. I had sold everything that I had and went out there with a limited amount of money. And I even
Right.
came across a company that had said, oh, okay, well, you pay $500 or $1,000 or something to sign up for this, and we'll get you gigs. No guarantee or whatever. Come to
Hmm.
find out that they were scam artists, so they were just taking people's money, and then they would never get a gig. And I found that out through a friend of my sister's who is a producer, or was a producer for a TV show called Till Death out there. And she said, never pay any more than $25 for initiation for anything. If someone wants you, they want you. Anything else past $25 is a scam, guaranteed. And I think without that knowledge, I would have really been screwed over. I ended up taking up all my money from my account so that the check that I wrote to them would not clear. Um,
Okay.
and so it didn't go through. I was able to get through that without my money being spent. But in the same point is that it was still weeks in before I had talked to her after spending money to eat, spending gas
Mhm.
money to go down to California or to Hollywood. I'm sorry, every single other day or every day or whatever, and whatever else, whatever I had to spend money on, that money was starting to decrease slowly. But that same friend of my sister's had told me about a company to do background work, extra work. And one of the things that she told me about was a company called Central Casting, which is the biggest casting director inside of Burbank, California. Brad Pitt actually worked for it when he was nobody, and he was scamming the system by going out to auditions when he was on supposed to be on set. He would sneak off set to go and do an audition so he can get double paid. And Central Casting found out about it and fired him and said, "You'll never work in this town ever again." Lo and behold, he is Brad Pitt now. So there's a lot to it. And even from that, I ended up picking up, two other casting directors. I worked for LA Casting and Hollywood OS. I didn't get many gigs for them like I did with Central Casting. I ended up working on like 40 TV shows, two commercials, and like several movies while I was out there. So it was a big deal, and it really helped my career to have gotten a lot of that kind of work.
Okay, definitely. Now, for those of you that don't know, you won't know. So make sure you go rewatch episode 2 of the story of Michael Bouey, where he mentions he got to. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but Michael Bouey briefly mentions how he in Michigan in Detroit he got an opportunity to be on the scene of the movie 8 Mile. For those of you that don't know, that's a movie about Eminem's life, arguably the greatest rapper alive. That being said, did you have any moments Obviously, that they probably don't surpass that opportunity of being in such an iconic movie like 8 Mile. But did you have any moments out in Cali that you can say, well, this was another memorable experience because I got to work on this, and on that? You mentioned you got to work on a million different TV shows and production aspects. So, do you have any other memories, notable memories of things you did out in Cali as far as films, the entertainment industry?
I mean, I have stories out the ass. I don't think we have enough time to go through all of them. I just
Okay.
remember one of the first, because the guy that I went down there, he was working at Costco, but he always wanted to do acting. So I kind of inspired him to kind of go with me, maybe do some side gigs with acting with Central Casting once I found out about Central Casting. And lo and behold, further down the road, he ended up going further than me, getting the SAG vouchers, becoming a stand in for the TV show Las Vegas, and doing stunt work and stuff. But I know that one of the first gigs him and I got, we were on CSI New York, and we're standing on the street. They were filming in downtown LA, and I'm standing on the corner, and someone walks by me. I'm like, I know this motherfucker. I'm like, oh shit, that's Gary Sinise,
Oh,
Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. I'm like, oh shit, like mind blown, like that. I've worked with Eminem. I don't know why Gary Sinise blew my mind, but it did, and just being around a lot of them, I'm a big fan of the TV show Heroes, and so I was on the TV show Heroes. So to see the cop and see the cheerleader, and then one of the background artists, he knew Masioko, and he's like, bro, Masioko's coming. I know him. You wanna meet him? I was like, get the fuck. Yes, yes, I do. And I like,
right.
I'm like a sixth grade schoolgirl talking to him, like, I love you, I love the show. I do. I don't know what to say. Like, he's like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. Blah blah blah. He's real cool. And then I forget the villain's name, but he also played inside of Star Trek. I saw him. He was getting a Range Rover. Uh, you know, just coming across a lot of different celebrities. I was on many a shows. I was on Bones. I was on The Nine. I was on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. So, which I'm a big fan of Disney and that. So, being on that show was really huge. The twins weren't there that day, but Ashley Tisdale was there, and the Asian chick, I don't know her name, and Mr. Mosby was there, which I think is hilarious. Um, you know, and just being on a lot of the different sets and everything. I did the TV show ER. I also did Nick Cannon's Short Circuits, which I had a more featured role where I played a hostage. And I remember going there to that set. It was at like a diner, and I got there early. And there's this old lady out there, and she's all bundled up. And I'm like talking to her. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you here for the movie?" She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm here for it." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm just chit chatting with her for like an hour and shit. And then they
Yeah.
come in. They're like, "All right, Lunel, come on in to do your hair and makeup." I'm like, "Lunel, bitch." Like I don't know if you know much about comedy or stand up comics, but Lunel's a famous comedian, and so I'm blown away that I'm talking to her. Then Dion Cole shows up, and I'm a huge fan of Dion Cole. He's one of the comedians that would write down jokes in the notepad and try them out whether they're good or bad. And he told us his story about his claim to fame and kind of inspired all of us. And then we eat lunch with all of them, and I'm joking and talking with all of them. And then I go out from lunch, and I'm passing Nick Cannon. He's on the ramp talking to somebody on his phone, like. And then I got invited from his concierge to like a Wild and Out party. I've just experienced so many different sets and meeting a lot of people. I wouldn't say that my friend helped inspire that, but I would say that I have come across while out in California many experiences like the 8 Mile experience where I was able to see how they operate on set. And just another quick story. This is a kind of a funny one. I was on a TV show called CSI Miami. They have different versions of CSI. I also did NCIS and have stories from that. But when I was on CSI Miami, they picked me to be one of the guys that carry a body part across the screen. And I remember that the director was like, "All right, walk across the screen with the body part. We're gonna film you." And literally, I'm the only person the camera's on, and they're filming me walk across the screen holding the body part. And I do the first take, and he's like, "Cut." Okay, you're moving too fast. Okay, you're going too fast. We need to slow it down. Oh, okay, my bad, my bad. So we do it again. I walk across the screen. Cut! God damn it! You. All right, you're going too slow. You are going too slow. Okay, you need to pick it up a little bit. I'm like, bitch, what? What between too fast and too slow? Like I'm now we're doing it a third time, and I'm like I'm nervous. I'm like I don't know how fast or slow to walk. Like I thought I was walking normal, and he's like, "Cut! Do we have to find somebody else?" I'm like, no, no, I think I could walk normal. Like,
Right?
they ended up still using me. I did find the episode, and they ended up using me. But they're very meticulous on everything, and a lot of times there are people that are assholes that are very rude and disrespectful to the people that work on the sets. Um, and then there's times where people are like really kind. Um,
Mm.
I also did a Billy Blanks Type O video where they had us train out in the heat for like 8 hours. And this guy, he's Taibo Nazi, so to speak. He literally, when he goes to work, there was like no break. They were like, we about to film for 45 minutes straight, but you're gonna work for 8 hours to learn all the steps. Just a lot of experiences. I'm very blessed, I think, to have gone out there and gathered those experiences that prepared me to kind of know how the industry works.
Okay, perfect. That's a great way to put it. Before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you, for somebody like myself, and I'm sure there's lots of people watching this who probably have never got the opportunity to go out to California. From somebody coming from Michigan, which I can relate to, a Michigan sort of environment, going to a California environment, how would you describe California to somebody who's never been? In your own words, how would you describe it? You talked a little bit about the celebrity presence. You talked a little bit about just the overall atmosphere of people everywhere. But how would you describe it in your own words to somebody who's never been?
Crazy. It's like being on another planet. I mean, it definitely is somewhere that I think people, if you're not from there, you will stand out like a sore thumb. I mean, they are a different breed of people, and I'm just going based on the fact, and maybe it's that East Coast West Coast that certain people on the East Coast are a certain way and West Coast are a certain way, but I can see the difference. It's a different environment, but I also think that there are some people that have a kind heart that want to see you succeed. There are very few of them. You have to find them, and they're like a needle in a haystack. I was very privy when working on, Nick Cannon's Short Circuits to kind of be inspired to want to do stand up comedy, and I started writing jokes and everything just because I wanted to be versatile, not just someone that did acting, but someone that was able to write and direct. I wanted to be a jack of all trades with inside the entertainment industry. And I remember going down to the Laugh Factory, and just to find out about open mic night. And the manager was like, "Well, you know what? It's on." No, not the manager, but the receptionist. She was like, "On Tuesdays, Thursdays, we do open mic night. At this time." And it was like a Wednesday or something, or a Monday or whatever. And the manager overheard, and he was like, he came out and said, "You do stand up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm getting started." He's like, "Oh, so it'd be like your first time?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, come on back. In an hour we have Dane Cook and Damon Wayans that are going to be here. You should check out the show." And I was like, "All right, bet." And I go and just tour around Hollywood, and I come back in an hour. I'm standing out in line, and it's cold outside, and the manager comes out, and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "You told me to come back in an hour." He's like, "Yeah, come on inside. It's cold out here." So I'm like passing everybody, like, "Sorry, sorry."
Yeah.
I'm going inside where it's warm with everybody else, and there's all these comedians like practicing their material and stuff or whatever, or talking and chit chatting. And I start talking to some of them, and the manager comes back in like 5 minutes. He's like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Ready for what?" He's like, "You're going up in 5 minutes. You're an opening act to Damon Wayans after Dane Cook. Welcome to Hollywood."
Wow.
So one of the best moments. I mean, if you're really there to kind of make moments and experience new things, I think that California is that place. But you have to get adjusted to their vibe, to their craziness, to their fast pace routine of doing things. Um, they drive fast, they move fast, they talk fast, they act fast. I mean, well, I don't know about acting fast because you have to act fast, slow, medium. I haven't figured that out yet, but that's neither here nor there. But it's just great time in general.
Nice. That's incredible. That's almost like what you see in movies, like almost like I don't know if I would even call it a meet cute, but it's almost like your time to shine. Welcome to Hollywood. That phrase that you just used.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. That seems like again something straight out of a movie. Before we get out of here, and don't go too deep into this. I don't want to get you started on a whole rant. You mentioned about how there's a lot of kind people that want to help you make it out in California. Did you get to meet any of those kind people? And if not, if all you met was shitty people, briefly mention it, but don't go too deep into it. I don't want to get you started going on a whole rant, but did you meet
there,
some nice
there,
people?
there are shitty people. I met kind people, but the whole thing is you have to decipher shit from sugar. You know,
Okay.
everybody will thinks that they know how to get by, that they have contacts, that they know this. This is what you should do if you want to make it. If you're telling me this is what I need to do to make it, why are you still at the same level as me?
Mm, damn.
So, so you just have to be able to decipher sugar from shit. I met cool people, interesting
Mm,
people, but I
okay.
met way more shitheads, douchebags, scammers, and everything else along
Okay.
the way, uh, where I thought they were genuine good people. So
Okay. 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 Perfect. That's a great way to put it. And we're gonna get back to this. We want to get the full story. We're here. We're live. Um, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for tuning in from wherever you may be watching this. Have a great evening. Have a great night. We want to make sure we thank Michael Bouey for sharing his experience. For anybody out there that's watching this, thinking that could be me, thinking I'm learning from this guy because I'm trying to make it in the entertainment industry, you're in the right place. Michael, before we get out of here, any closing remarks? Anything you want to leave us with this episode?
um, I would just say, you know, I always say kind of never give up. I think that's probably not the best thing. I would say experience all that you can experience, because you never know. Even just looking at the story with the stand up comedy with Dane Cook and Damon Wayans, you know, if I never would have put myself out there or stepped out there and experienced stuff, whether you're going to get more shit than sugar, if you don't go out there and go through shit, you won't find that grain of sugar.
Mm. Very well said. Very well said. Very Jordan-esque, if I may say so myself. Once again, Michael, we want to thank you for sharing your story, your experience. Everybody watching at home, make sure you tune in next week, man, because we're getting down to what you guys want to hear: the experiences, the stories, the revelations, the morals of the stories that Michael has in store for us. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure you like the video. You comment a couple questions that you may have for Michael if you have some, or if you're just simply being inspired by all of this, man. I know I'm certainly being left speechless a couple of times. So make sure to hit us up. Make sure to subscribe. Once again, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Bouey Films. Until next time, thank you.